This is Fitness Blender's Total Body Sculpt and Stretch. In this workout, we're going to be going through 9 different exercises for 50 seconds each. Now, we haven't included a warm-up or a cool-down, so you want to add both of those in on your own, and you're not going to need any equipment for this routine except for an optional exercise mat. Now go ahead and pause it here and get your warm-up in. Otherwise, if you already have your warm-up done, let's go ahead and get started with our first exercise, which is going to be a single leg jackknife plus a back bend. So starting off with jackknife, then we're going to push up into a back bend, and then drop right back into a jackknife. So let's go ahead and get started, laying flat on your back. We're going to start off that back bend first, so hands come up above those shoulders, press into the floor with those hands and feet, lift those hips up as high as you can, then drop it right back down to the ground. Do an alternating jackknife crunch, one leg, one arm at a time, and then right back into that back bend. Now, if you can't get as high as Kelly, that is perfectly fine. You're only trying to get your chest and hips up off the ground. So your only points of contact are your feet or your hands. So if you can't go into a full back bend, that's perfectly fine, like I said. Just try to get as high as you can, as high as is comfortable. Now, with that jackknife crunch, make sure you're alternating back and forth, left hand to right foot, right hand to left foot, making sure you get a nice crunch to the top of that range of motion. Almost done, just 10 seconds left. Keep alternating back and forth. Remember, keep those motions nice and deliberate. You don't want to move too quickly. Almost done. And let it relax. All right, let's go and move on to our next exercise, which is going to be a downward facing dog plus a twist. So we're going to be going down into a downward facing dog, then kick your hip off to one side, extending that leg out. Let's go ahead and get ready. And start up. Hands down on the floor. Try to press those heels into the ground, trying to make a triangle off the floor for that downward facing dog. Then bring one leg down underneath you, rotating those hips off to the side. Come back up to that downward facing dog before doing it on the other side. Remember, every single time you come back up to that downward facing dog, make sure you're making a triangle off the floor, nice straight line from wrist to hip and from hip to ankle. And then nice and slow, drop those hips down as that leg kicks off out to the side. Try to bring that leg up to about a 90-degree angle off of your body or as close to it as you can control before slowly bringing those hips right back up, placing that foot back on the ground, and doing the same exact motion off to the other side. Now remember to kind of pause for each one of these positions, so as you kick that leg out to the side, give it a split second, pause down at the bottom, then bring it back up, pause that downward facing dog position before you kick that opposite leg off to the other side. Just keep going back and forth. You only have a few seconds left. And go ahead and let it relax. Let's move on to our next exercise. We're going to be doing plank drops next, and this one is relatively difficult. So make sure that you do whatever version you can control for as long as possible. If you have to rest in the middle, that's perfectly fine. Or if you want to just stay on your knees the entire time, that is also fine. Now let's go ahead and move into that plank position down those elbows and toes. Try to keep a nice straight line from shoulder to ankle. You're just bending those knees, barely letting them touch, and then bring them right back up again. Now if you need to, like I said before, this is relatively hard, so if you need to, drop those knees down and actually let them completely touch and pause there for a few seconds to give yourself a little bit of a rest. Otherwise, those abs completely give out and you can always lay flat down against the ground. Give yourself a 5-second count before trying to push right back into that same position. We've got about 20 seconds left to go. Keep those lungs open. Keep those core muscles nice and tight. Make sure those shoulders aren't starting to press back behind you or up towards those ears. Try to keep those shoulders pressed down away from you. Everything constantly checking on that form. Almost done. And let it relax. Nicely done. Let's go ahead and move on to our next exercise, which is going to be a figure 4 squat. Let's go ahead and get ready. And start up. One leg comes up over top of the other, squatting down as low as you comfortably can. This is going to limit your range of motion quite a bit since you're only using one leg at a time, but try to push that range of motion as much as you can. Now, if you need to, you might want to use either a chair or wall for a little bit of extra balance, but if you can, try not to use anything for assistance because that'll actually help you build overall control of those legs, those little fine motor skills to help you keep that balance a lot better, especially through that ankle complex and even up through that core. Now we're almost done, just 10 seconds left. Just keep it going a little bit longer. Keep those lungs open. Nice deep squat as much as you can control. And let it relax. Nicely done. Let's go ahead and move on to our next exercise, which is going to be a lunge drop. So this is going to be a static lunge, just dropping that knee down each time. And we're going to be doing this 50 seconds on each side. So let's go ahead and get ready for that first side. So one leg forward, one leg back in that lunge position, and drop that knee down. Stay down in that lunge, that front leg. It's basically just bending and straightening that rear leg. So basically what you're trying to shoot for is from the very, very bottom of that range of motion as low as you can go. So basically that knee touching up about 12 inches with those hips maximum, and then right back down again. So try not to go any higher than that. Try not to stand up to a full extension and straighten both legs. You want to keep at least that front leg mostly bent. So dropping it down nice and low, straightening that rear leg, but keeping that front leg bent, only about 12 inches in depth at the very bottom of that range of motion. Just keep it going. Keep those lungs open. We've got 10 seconds left. And we're almost done. And let it relax. Good job. Let's go and move on to our next exercise, which is the same thing, just on the opposite side. So switch those legs, doing that same exact exercise over again on the opposite leg. Let's go ahead and get ready. And start out. The opposite leg forward, opposite leg back, dropping down, same exact motion. So get that knee as close to the ground as you can at the bottom of that range of motion. At the very most, 12 inches up from there with those hips. Mainly focusing on straightening that rear leg, getting a good nice straight line through that rear leg, then bending that knee all the way back down again. Remember, keep that front leg mostly bent though the entire time, only getting about 12 inches of distance change with those hips. And just about 10 seconds left. Keep that range of motion at the very, very bottom. Remember, try not to let those hips come up too high. Almost done. And let it relax. All right, good job. Let's go and move on to our next exercise, which is going to be a walk down push-up plus a squat and hold. Let's go ahead and get ready. And start up by walking down, out with those hands, go to that full push-up position. Do a push-up if you can, either off those toes or those knees. Then bend those knees, kind of sit back in those heels. Do a couple of squats, really low, shallow pulse squats, and then walk right back out again into that push-up. Nice full push-up. Again, squatting back into those heels, pushing back into that squat position, double pulse. Slowly walk it right back out again. Just make sure you're alternating back and forth from that squatted position, so you don't actually want to ever come back up to a full standing position. You want to just alternate back and forth between that full extension on that push-up and that really, really low squat pulse. And we're almost done. Push back into that squat one more time. Stay nice and low. Get a real quick pulse. And let it relax. Good job. Let's go ahead and move on to our next exercise, which is going to be a back bow plus a toe touch. Let's go ahead and get ready. And start up. We're going to be doing 3 different positions, starting off with that back bow, then roll it, do that toe touch, roll it one more time in the same direction, do another back bow, and then start back. Roll back to that back, do that toe touch, and roll it onto that stomach. Good, that's your beginning position. Just start it back over again, rolling back the other way. The reason why we're doing 3 positions like this is to make sure that we're completely even from left to right, that you're training your body to not only roll to the left on your back, but also to roll to the right on your back, to make sure that you're building up that coordination in every direction you possibly can go. So just keep this rotation going. Make sure you're doing 3 positions. Got just a few seconds left to go, so keep rotating back and forth. Make sure you're getting a nice slow squeeze in each position, really pushing that range of motion. Almost done. And go ahead and let it relax. Good job. Let's go ahead and move on to our next exercise, which will be a squat and a rotation. Let's go ahead and get ready. And start up by dropping down to that squat. You're going to pause down at the bottom, rotate off to one side, get that hand back behind you, then come back up from that squat, drop down again, go off to the other side. Just make sure that you're rotating, keeping that back as flat as you can, just twisting those shoulders, trying not to bend that back. So you want to have a nice flat back, just rotating left to right. Now you want to make sure that with this type of exercise, you never do this with weight. You only want to do this body weight. You never want to bend down, bend over, and then rotate without being in a really stable position. So never do this with really heavy weight. Very small amount of weight might be okay if you have a really strong core. Otherwise, only body weight, trying to get a nice full rotation while squatted. Now just a few seconds left. Got enough time for one more. Rotate, slowly stand back up, and let it relax. Good job. That was our last exercise. That means this workout is complete. Good job.